Hey, it's Courier Girl, and today we're going to do a question and answer video. It's the first time that I've done one of these, and what happens is I get comments with questions and I answer the comments, but then I think, well, other people may have those questions and they may not see the comment and the answer, so I thought, what if I do some videos about them? So I hope this is helpful to you. The first question, today's question, is from Jay Aguilar, and he asked us a few weeks ago, and he said, why does no one make a video of the mess that can occur when being a medical courier? I think that's a great question, and I've been doing medical courier work for well over a year now, and I have run into some messes, and one of the companies that I run for even did training on it to teach us how to mitigate any kind of, contamination that might occur if something spills or breaks. So let me tell you what they told me, because this is the way I was told to handle it in that event. So first of all medical specimens, urine and blood, are usually in test tubes, and these test tubes are usually, or vials, I guess they call them, and these are usually plastic. They used to use glass a long time ago, but I think they're all plastic now. And sometimes they're also in these little bottles that look kind of like, I think like they look similar to the airplane alcohol bottles, but they're little bottles, maybe 4 to 6 inches high, and they have small necks on them, and they have fluids in there as well. And these bottles and or vials are put into a sealed Ziploc bag. So, and they say hazardous or they say contaminant right on the bag, so you know that. So the first thing that I do when picking up a specimen is make sure that the bag is sealed. Sometimes people are in a hurry, they get lazy, they don't seal the bag, so I'll run my fingers over it and just make sure it's ziplocked tight. And then I also give it a quick visual check to make sure it's dry on the outside. So you don't want somebody, even if they're wearing gloves, that had fluid on their gloves, on their hands, they pick up the bag and then the bag's got fluid on it. Another thing that some people do is they wear disposable gloves when they are doing specimen work. Most people don't. I don't do that, and I've never had a problem with it. But certainly the lab workers are wearing gloves, and a lot of times some of the couriers will wear gloves as well. So these things, I've never had a problem with a spill, because most lab people take care to pack them the right way. The lids are on tightly, they're in the bags are sealed, and I'm checking the bags to make sure they're sealed. Now, if I get a large specimen bag with a whole bunch of smaller specimen bags in it, like sometimes they will pack it so they have 20 specimen bags in one really big bag, and that bag is sealed. I don't open it and check each one. I just check the outer bag to make sure that it's sealed. Also, we always carry our specimens in a cooler. So these are, I don't have one here right now, sorry, but these are soft-sided, kind of the lunchbox type coolers, a little bit bigger than that, and then they have a hard liner in them, so that if anything were to spill, it would spill inside that hard liner, which is kind of like a bucket, and you wouldn't have a mess all over your vehicle. So that's important too, to have appropriate containers in your vehicle, both on you and in your vehicle. So what we do is we have a cooler, like a soft-sided cooler, that we take with us, and then when we get into the car, we put it into a hard-sided cooler. One is for refrigerated, which would have ice packs in it. One is for frozen, which would have dry ice in it. And then I have like a tote, like a plastic tote, that I keep all of my room temperature in, because usually there's a lot more of them and they end up being too much for a cooler. So I have a big plastic tote that I keep those in. Some people use coolers with like the wheels on them so they can just pull them into the lab, kind of like luggage, but it's a cooler. And so that takes care of a lot of the problems in your car. And then always have those disposable gloves with you, even if you are not using them. You want to have them in case, because you never know. I also keep a roll of paper towels in the car with me in case I would have to wipe up a spill. Actually, usually that's more for like wiping up if it's wet and rain gets in the car or something like that. But it's there in case of a medical courier spill as well. And then the other thing that I do is I have goggles. I've never worn the goggles, but I do have them in case there would be a splash risk. And some courier companies will want you to have what's called a spill containment kit in it, which has the same things I just talked about: gloves, goggles, might have disinfectant wipes. It's good to have, like, I have Clorox wipes, a jar of them, plastic can in a car. So if I had to wipe up anything, I could do that as well. And then the paper towels for drying. And let's see what else. All right. One of the biggest potential hazards is if you're carrying urine specimens. Urine specimens sometimes come in big jugs, which can hold maybe a half a gallon of urine. They'll have a patient collect it over several days. And so they're usually orange, and you get these big orange jugs of urine. And I always make sure that the tops are screwed on tight. So they usually are, but every once in a while they're not. And I prefer that they're in a larger Ziploc bag, so like a liquid-proof Ziploc bag. So if there was some chance of it spilling, then it would go into the bag and not all over the place. And I have picked up those jugs where the bag, they've leaked and the bag is half full of urine. So as long as it's not leaking out of the bag, they tell me that it's okay, but I do take extra precaution in that case, just to make sure that I'm wearing gloves, that I'm very careful, that the bag is sealed tight, and all that type of thing. The other thing is, when you are transporting things like that, make double sure that in a leak-proof container, like a tote or a cooler, and make sure that they're standing up in a way that the cap is on the top. Sometimes the caps are at an angle, but the cap is on at the top of the angle, so that things aren't going to leak out. And pack them in such a way so they're not going to get knocked over, because that is usually when leaks occur, when things get knocked over. So I think those are the main things. If you are the least bit worried about it, then talk to the company that you're doing medical deliveries for. Ask them if they have specific protocols, specific training that they can give you, so that you can be better equipped to deal with a spill of a medical specimen. Now, having said all this, I've never had it happen. In thousands of deliveries in well over a year and a half now. And I have friends who've been in the medical courier business who say that, yes, it happens, but that is very, very rare. So as long as you are checking your bags, making sure that they are sealed, taking care to not put a bottle of liquid on its side or upside down, putting things in contained containers in your vehicle, like a tote or a cooler or something like that. Nothing soft-sided. You want a hard-sided thing. So if you're using a soft-sided cooler, you want it to have a liner. And just using caution when when carrying things back and forth. You don't want to have a whole like dolly full of tons of specimens and have it knock over. You want to make sure that your coolers are closed when you're carrying them, or your totes are big enough so that stuff isn't spilling over the sides. Even people who've been doing it for many, many years say that when you take all of these precautions and use common sense, you're not going to have much of a problem. And like I said, I've never had a problem. I have had a couple times where the urine bottle had urine in the bag around it, but it still didn't leak out of that. And if you're ever in question, then don't take it. Just tell the people, hey, look, this isn't cool. I can't take it like this. And if you're in a lockbox situation where you're getting stuff after hours out of a lockbox, then call your dispatch. Call the supervisor in charge and send them a picture maybe and say, hey, this is a situation. How do you want me to handle this? Because you want to handle it in a way that they're going to have your back if something happens, and also a way that's safe for you. And they may very well tell you not to take it. So yeah, so that's it for that question, how to deal with medical spills. I hope that was helpful. You have a great day, and I will see you on the road.